Hi, my name is Jason Bobby. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of Shibumi. I want to thank you for taking time over the past few days to participate in our 2020 virtual summit. I hope the information that has been presented by so many of my colleagues, our partners, and customers has given you insight into the means and methods for scaling your own programs. As you've hopefully seen from the preceding presentations, having key information ready and available to make decisions is critical for every business. Advisors, program managers, stakeholders, and even CFOs like myself are constantly looking at ways to better use data to make sure that we're making the best strategic decisions possible for the business. RPA programs at scale, zero-based budgeting solutions, digital transformation. Shibumi actually helps power some of the most sophisticated programs at leading advisory firms and enterprise clients. And I think you've seen examples of that this week. What I'd want to share with you today is a more intimate look at Shibumi and its versatility to hopefully spark some thinking on how you can get more value out of our platform. We've developed several homegrown apps that not me or really any of our internal staff had to do any coding or complex integration. I presented something similar to this at a user conference in Detroit last year, and it actually generated quite a bit of conversation as users that looked at Shibumi really just with one single track were exposed to a host of new cases. On a side note, it was exciting to see that Dominion Energy followed this same mental thread with the development of the COVID PPE request solution. If you haven't yet watched their video, toward the end of the session, they actually mentioned the challenge of procuring and distributing PPE requests. They needed executive transparency, they needed to track requests for completion, and they needed to prioritize everything. In a matter of days, they built out a full solution that helped them meet all these requirements. Exactly the kind of innovation that we're hoping to trigger with this session. So I'll kick this off, aptly titled Drinking Our Own Champagne presentation, with an introduction on how and why we use Shibumi to run Shibumi. Regardless of the size of an organization, tracking KPIs and having accurate, up-to-date snapshots of the business helps you just make better decisions. As you probably heard, you can't improve what you can't measure. In most organizations, and I'm sure in your current day-to-day life, Excel and PowerPoint and similar tools are heavily utilized to communicate a variety of data to and from the field. While we're not strangers to these tools, we don't use them to track or manage anything at Shibumi. Excel is a phenomenally powerful tool for modeling and crunching financials, and we use it exactly for that. But when it comes to understanding our business and getting updates from employees across the globe, especially today with so many of us working remotely, a digital tool that has collaboration as part of its DNA helps us tremendously. We have employees in New York, San Francisco, Detroit, London, Amsterdam, Sydney, and sales and support staff scattered across the globe and actually multiple time zones. So our ability to collect and distill data in our sales pipeline for development purposes, marketing activities, and even compliance for security with SOC 2 and other types of programs that we have running at any point of the day or night actually helps us run extremely lean and efficient and make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. We can actually form such a complete picture of our business through our use of Shibumi that board meetings are actually done entirely from a platform. Our board members get a complete real-time window into the good, the bad, and sometimes ugly of running a SaaS business at any point in time. And that creates an impetus for our data to be fresh and accurate. Finally, using our own platform actually helps us to be the first to identify usability or performance issues. If we're getting frustrated with our own ability to execute within Shibumi, then we know for certain that our customers will. And we focus on continually improving aspects of our UI, user experience, and underlying code to make sure that the users have a great experience overall. So Shibumi truly is a business operating system. I say this because at our core, after working with many of the advisory firms and program leads, we tried to design a tool that followed a universal path for how businesses and decisions generally are made. That process actually involves identifying what you want to achieve, formulating ideas that can help you achieve that objective, building out a hypothesis around inputs and outputs for each of those. And because resources are frankly limited, we want to actually figure out which of those, where we want to spend our precious hours and our business capital to make sure that things actually get done. And the one step that far too often gets forgotten once a project actually gets the green light from the CFO's office or from a program lead, we want to make sure that the initiative is actually delivering on the expected results. If you can't benchmark against expectations, you're not going to know when you should actually double down on programs, or actually, sometimes more importantly, cut out the ones that are failing. So to kick off our internal use discussion, I thought it would actually be appropriate to go through the life cycle of one of our most critical activities we do at a software company, that is, develop software. I wanted to start off with this use case to highlight all of the cool things we're working on to enhance our platform. But because for so many of you, one of the key drivers for using a platform like Shibumi is to drive financial related results. Many of you are using Shibumi to drive automation programs where bots are estimated to save X pound sterling a year. Or some advisory firm is planning on cutting 100 million euro from an operating budget to hit synergy targets. But just as a team would go through the process that was highlighted on the last slide to generate ideas, how to save money, triage those ideas, and then put their capital and effort behind them to achieve the results, non-financial teams can actually utilize that same workflow to deliver non-financial results. Our version of Shibumi Agile, highlighted here, allows us to manage our critical and complete development lifecycle, all the way from ideation, where ideas from new features, bug remediation, or other critical enhancements are proposed, either by our product team internally or often from suggestions we get from you in the field. Our team evaluates each of them to ascribe a benefit and a level of effort required to fully implement. As we plan our sprints to decide how much development team is able to complete in our typical 2 to 3 week cycle, we rank these opportunities, which gives us an idea of those that are most likely to help us grow the business and satisfy customers. And then we can selectively choose those that are going to allow us to actually deliver the most value from each sprint. Once the development sprint is underway, the team follows a standard Agile process using Shibumi to manage these sprints. For example, in our daily stand-ups, they track story points and they track progress in Shibumi, and they're able to quickly identify bottlenecks. It might be worth noting that this is how Shibumi has always done Agile. When COVID presented face-to-face interaction problems, our development team didn't skip a beat and actually continued with now virtual stand-ups using the same Shibumi solution as part of the sprint system of record. The added benefit of a system like this, especially with the level of transparency we have at Shibumi, is that our sales and support teams have full visibility into the backlog of requests so that we can better judge when new features and functionality will be released to aid in the next project. And hopefully your salespeople are communicating that to you on a regular basis. As businesses move closer to this Agile process where they solicit, they plan, they execute decisions across all aspects of their operations, I thought it was worthwhile to share this use case. Shibumi is not just applicable for cost transformation or cost cutting. It can be used across a wide variety of initiatives that require the same Agile process. Sticking with non-financial use cases, we also use Shibumi internally to manage compliance for our SOC 2 audit. Having been through several security discussions with many of the teams at our clients and partners, we understand how critical it is that Shibumi maintain the highest levels of security while we're handling and processing data. An internal application built entirely on our own platform keeps all the information required for exhaustive audit process and reminds us when periodic account reviews are needed to be performed. Additionally, it facilitates daily discussion within our security team and ensures that any issues that arise across our global platform at any hour of the day are bubbled to the top for immediate resolution. Now, a large portion of what our sales resources normally highlight, or what our partners have spent their time developing, revolves around cost containment or takeout, cost transformation, intelligent automation, merger integration. You've heard these all week long, are predicated on finding efficiencies that can be used and exploiting them to drive growth to the bottom line. The flip side of that, and where Shibumi actually uses Shibumi probably the most extensively, is on top line growth. Sales forecasting mirrors many of the use cases that were highlighted this week. And if you can identify the same underlying elements, that's not by accident. People generate ideas. Those ideas are vetted. Business cases are built. You advance and prioritize the ideas with the highest likelihood of success, and then you track those to completion. If you put on your sales hat, you can see that same process. Pipeline opportunities are created. Risks and reward for each deal are generated by the sales staff. And with a limited amount of time and bandwidth, sales resources need to triage and focus on the deals and the customers that are going to provide us with the most revenue and the highest likelihood of success. And then we track the execution of those deals to completion and hopefully, ideally, achievement of yearly targets. We utilize this method so effectively, we've actually been able to transition away from our traditional CRM. While I'm not here suggesting that everybody should ditch their CRM and move to Shibumi right away, the ability to leverage that data to make better decisions across our entire business has been material. I'm including several screenshots here, and unfortunately, you'll see that much of it needs to be redacted given confidentiality. But I'm doing this to show our actual usage. These aren't mocks or doctored images that I've put together. They're live views that myself and the executive team looks at every day to help make better decisions across our sales platform. We can drill down into a territory or an account for each rep and heat map what is actually working and what isn't, ascribe weightings to our forecast, and even roll that all up to a centralized dashboard that feeds into those same board level discussions that I was talking about before. Additionally, the timing of deals, even down to anticipated payment terms, feed directly into my financial dashboard as a CFO so that new weighted opportunities or lost deals get flagged immediately in projected cash flow, and I could actually make real-time capital investment decisions. I don't need to wait for our weekly sales call to understand that we just potentially lost one of our biggest customers. Even our quarterly business reviews for sales staff are done entirely in Shibumi, utilizing heat maps and data generated just by daily interaction with the system. Sales reps spend their time actually developing action plans on how they're going to grow their territory and not spending time pulling and reformatting Salesforce data. It's already been prepared for them. In most organizations, this information is siloed or requires a team of people to actually synthesize it from multiple sources, Salesforce.com, PPM tools that are used to track hours for project delivery, trends for consulting utilization, and even our AWS server utilization that anticipates new user growth and new features and functionality, or even new geographies where we plan on spinning up servers. We can all proactively plan and get out ahead of the trends that may leave us flat-footed by having greater insight into where our business is heading. As part of my role to actually oversee several legal aspects of the operation as well, we have integrated a legal review module with Shibumi that ties several aspects of the business together. Again, no coding or integrations required. We can actually assign pressing contract review to various team members, report back on progress, and link all of this to the individual sales opportunities that they're assigned to. By doing this, the sales reps get better information, and hopefully they can constantly communicate with our customers, our partners, and anyone else that needs to know the status of their contract or other things that are being held up by legal review. The additional benefit is that we actually get an up-to-date log for compliance purposes that can easily be searched or parsed for specific requirements as team members need to understand provisions within the contracts. We are able to bypass constant queries to our legal team so that relevant team members can actually see obligations for the deals that they own, while still maintaining a lot of the security and confidentiality of each client. There are many other solutions within Shibumi that we use to run our day-to-day business. But as we draw to a close of this presentation, I want to highlight two additional applications that we've built internally. Again, you won't find this on the marquee of our website, but it does highlight the versatility of our platform. The first being our HR and applicant tracking system. Using the same lens that I highlighted earlier, as we look to fill new roles during our growth phase, we find many talented candidates for a wide variety of positions. We track each of them through a life cycle, building out a case for why they should be hired, and then advancing those candidates with the highest likelihood of success. We can then follow their progress as they grow through the ranks and centrally maintain and review performance data to ensure we are just as confident in an employee's promise today as we were when we hired them. Finally, what can be hopefully a fitting close to my piece of this virtual summit is a highlight of the dashboard that we use to actually organize the virtual summit. Every aspect of planning by our marketing team, our internal operations, and everyone else that has been involved with putting this together, from anticipated attendance to follow-up, recording of videos, and tracking everything else, has been done using a homegrown solution. We are able to effectively track deliverables and expectations for 30+ contributors divided by oceans, time zones, and languages leading up to this event. While not as sophisticated or powerful as some of the solutions developed by our partners that hopefully you have seen this week, these solutions are critical to the operation of Shibumi and allow us to more effectively deliver product enhancements, support customer requests, and frankly, run our business more efficiently. I hope you've enjoyed a little glimpse into the art of the possible and want to thank you again for participation in the virtual summit. Thanks again.